Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about Stellar Lumens, aka XLM. So let's just dive in and let's talk about a few things. So first off, when I look at the chart for this thing, I am extremely bullish. So first off, we are at levels that we haven't seen since going as far back as, roughly November 2020. I'm still looking to see if we can test this demand range from like September of 2020, which is around roughly about like the 6.5 cent zone, almost 7 cent zone. And the reason why I'm watching this one pretty closely is because of the upside potential from those lows. Now, fib levels are not here to dictate what is going to happen, going forward. They're just a good means of like kind of anticipating where we could head to if we do outreach to a few ones. We've talked about XLM in the past, and I know that this is probably not the best chart to utilize because we don't have all of the price data. I'm pretty sure that Coinbase has all of the price data on this one. So yeah, I mean, like, this is where most of the price data is. Let me actually remove a lot of this stuff on the chart real quick, and let's actually look at this on a real quick updated view. So mostly we've been really kind of looking at, where we could bottom out on with XLM. And again, I share with you guys that November timeframe of September. Well, it's actually September of 2020, around like the November timeframe as well, where XRP and even XLM did start to kind of break out, but they did both substantially underperform compared to most of the market. This is most likely due to the SEC lawsuit. XLM is still pretty bearish on the chart, as you guys do see even on the RSI. We are still watching this range down here to, ape in heavily. I do think that DCAing in right around, this range that we are at now is not too bad, especially as we are like down like 90+% from the top point. But we are watching this one pretty close. Specifically, for those nice outreaches up there in like the $2 to $3 range. Do I think that those are possible? It all depends on how much adoption and how much money is actually pouring into this market. But XLM is one that I do find very special in this market as well. And we've talked about this in the past. We've addressed where we really kind of could go to. More so looking at where we did go back in 2017, 2018. We really kind of have to look at where we kind of, outreach to above the fib levels. It was right around above the 8 fib outreach. It kind of outreached even higher than most anticipated during this time frame. Is this the best area to really kind of chart? Not technically. I mean, you could even go as far back as like 2014, if you will, and go throughout the entire bear market of that time frame, where we kind of bottomed out on. But still, this kind of reaches out to the top 8 if you actually look at the May time frame. So again, that last outreach doesn't really matter too much, but a lot of tokens have outreached to that. XLM being an underperformer, like I did talk about, I'm not exactly expecting the $6 range to be tested on XLM. Is it possible to? 100%. But I would be a little bit more lenient with the idea that this could easily hit about roughly $1 range. Is that the highest point that it will hit? No, not exactly. I would say, targeting that all-time high of like 2017, 2018, which is basically $1 itself, we could most likely double that to about like the $2 range, which would be the 2618 on the fib outreach scale from this bottom range. If we do see it, by the way, it's not guaranteed that we see either of these. This would be about like a 28x. Now, if we do outreach to the last fib outreach, which would be the 8, it would be about almost an 86x opportunity. I do think that XLM is going to surprise a lot of people going into the next major cycle run, as well as really kind of surprise people and catch them off guard with how much adoption there will be of Stellar with XLM. And why is that? Well, let's actually look into a few things, and let's actually talk about a few things as well behind XLM. Now, as we are in a bear market, I am looking at, a lot of, blue chip ones, which like the blue chip cryptos are like the ones that have proven themselves time and time again in the past, like XLM, XRP, even like HBAR could be considered one, QNT, stuff like that. But when we really kind of look at XLM is special because it is kind of leading the race behind retail adoption of crypto with on and off ramps, as well as payment mechanisms like Wire. We actually do see that great read, Learn How Send Wire is using Stellar to combine MoneyGram's global retail network with Wire's infrastructure, enabling your users to seamlessly transition between cash and crypto across thousands of participating locations worldwide. And I do think that this is awesome. I think that there's a lot of potential being unlocked through these, crypto to cash payout on and off ramps around crypto. And I also do think that they are 100% necessary to have that peak retail adoption. I think that's also a great way to really kind of look at Stellar as well. Like, when we really kind of look at this market, there's not a lot of retail adoption use cases being really kind of spotlighted. A lot of like the use cases that we do see mainly are around like NFTs as well as like the metaverse and things like that, kind of promising us the world but kind of giving us nothing. And I know that that's not the case with a lot of it, like NFTs out there. They do have quite a bit of utility on some of them, but for the most part, I would say, and I would actually argue around like roughly 75 to 90% of the retail adoption use cases in crypto are kind of lackluster. And I think that the financial ones, where it does offer, select savings, speed, like for settlement and things like that, that is actually pretty revolutionary to the retail market. So when we actually look at what Stellar is doing, or even like Ripple, right? Because Ripple also offers use cases around these areas, but I would say Stellar is more so positioned perfectly for the retail adoption area. These are substantial use cases, and they will unlock quite a bit of value. And you guys could read more about this if you want from Wire. We actually just recently broke Wire down as a use case. I think that this is a great, service, and I think that this is a great area for them to fully, disrupt. We actually do talk about Web3 quite a bit, and Web3 won't happen without those on and off ramps. Specifically, I look at the on and off ramps as almost like a bridge for fiat. It allows for, individuals to jump into the Web3 scene, really kind of be at the forefront of it, and adopt fully into the Web3 area as well. And with Web3 being projected at around roughly $140 trillion plus market cap, it is a substantial area to fully disrupt. Now, of course, predictions are only predictions. There's not a lot of guarantee around that, but I will say this. The Web3 scene is here to shock the world, and I do think that it will in a very substantial way, similar to Web 1 and even Web 2. And, if we are actually talking about the potential behind this market, and if we are actually talking about like the historical moment behind this market as well, which is disrupting a financial system that has not been disrupted in many years. I mean, we're talking about like roughly 60 years. We are holding keys to the future system here. And I think that XLM will definitely play a pivotal role. And talking about this, we won't get to that point without proper regulations. We actually do see here from Danielle Dixon, which is the CEO and executive director at Stellar. She is talking about the U.S. and, is crypto here to stay? Things like that around this market, specifically how crypto could, fully innovate and fully, revolutionize the current financial system, as well as many other areas as well. But I would argue that the U.S. is, kind of stifling innovation. I would argue that they kind of look like they don't want to adopt this technology. And for, I don't understand why, but we have been seeing a lot of attacks on crypto lately from like regulatory standards. Specifically, we talk about XRP quite a bit on this channel within that area. But, if we did see streamlined adoption, if we did see, guidelines in place, the entire industry of finance, of real estate, etc. Like there's so many industries for crypto to actually be a part of and fully, disrupt and actually make a lot more efficient. There's going to be a lot of money pouring into crypto. There's going to be a lot of opportunity here as well. And another opportunity here in regards to like the retail sector that Stellar has been focused on and has proven themselves is the retail market. And I think that the retail market is key here as well. Even when you look at like real estate, the retail market is perfect for real estate to be fully disrupted too, because it does open the doors for a lot more efficient payment flows as well as transaction flows, and even, flows in general, workflows. It does streamline the process of many industries, specifically even around real estate. But we do see like product, Moneygram, wallets, Lobster Co., which by the way, a lot of people have been asking me about like Lobster as a wallet. I still think that Lobster is a pretty great wallet. I think that a lot of these wallets that are built out on these networks do provide great value. Again, I personally haven't utilized it. I've just heard good things about it. So, I can only give you guys a little bit of an insight on what I personally have seen. I haven't utilized it fully, like I said, so just to give you guys that full transparency. But of course, wallets are also vibrant too. Network Stellar impact is global. And yes, this is a great impact from Stellar. We actually can look here. This is a full breakdown of how these individuals have, sent money through like Mexican pesos into, for example, like USDC. We do see here, like here is, and of course they do mention their @name, getting Mexican pesos at Tiendas OXXO. I hope that I'm saying that name right. From her USDC in wow, I can't even talk right now. Puerto Escondido. I'm probably butchering that. I am sorry, Mexico. You can now onboard to USDC and also cash out at any of the 350,000 MoneyGram locations worldwide. This is a thread of the real impact potential that blockchain has. And yes, like when we really kind of look at this, the FX spreads, the fees, things like that are absolutely insane. Like if we look here, right, the USDC to MXN exchange in Mexico had 0 fees and an insanely good FX spread at 1.4%. Like this is a full-on, like revolutionary innovation to the financial sector. And we actually do see that they are bringing financial inclusion to the next level, all through blockchain. This is why I really kind of look at, Stellar. I know that a lot of people will argue like, all right, well, they're utilizing USDC on Stellar, so where does XLM play a role? XLM is still in the back end. XLM is also still providing value at the end of the day. Is it going to be a very substantial token to the point where like XRP, right? You look at XRP with on-demand liquidity, it's at the center point. XLM is not exactly like that, but you could definitely, look into a few things on their website and really kind of learn more about that. I've actually broken this down before on, I think that there was an in-depth breakdown on XLM and why XLM will provide a lot of value to Stellar. It's almost like, liquidity purposes, which we've addressed multiple times. But yes, we are seeing full-on disruptions globally and impacts globally from Stellar with, a lot of their mechanisms specifically around, this market. But also, talking more so about NFTs, this is also where a lot of the value does get derived from like XLM as well. Transacting with XLM, utilizing XLM. I'm not saying like this is the only value XLM has though. No, like in no way, shape, or form. Like I said, go onto Stellar's website, learn more about Lumens, learn more about why XLM will play a pivotal role in this entire system as well. They do fully break this down. But also when we look at LiveMint is huge. They are disrupting a lot of things within like the NFT sector, and now you can provide like PFPs on Twitter through like NFTs. You guys can see them breaking this down. But also LightMint has been absolutely killing it lately. They've been growing rapidly, as well as like a lot of adoption has been happening within like the Stellar ecosystem around like NFTs as well. And we've talked about NFTs quite a bit on even Hedera. They play a pivotal role in adoption from the retail sector, as well as like they do provide quite a bit of value. I think like over almost, I think it's like 50 million or so. HBAR has been transacted fully through NFTs. It might even be more. I would argue that it probably is like around, a lot more, especially if you look in like Hash Access, Zeus Market and stuff. So this is a market that I personally am focused on. Like the NFT sector is pretty great, specifically for like retail adoption and retail usability. So you love to see that. And, last but not least, I just really kind of want to wrap this video up with one last thing, and that is, MoneyGram. We've talked about MoneyGram quite a bit with, XLM and Stellar, and we do see down here like MoneyGram chairman and CEO recently participated in a Q&A to answer questions about MoneyGram's innovative work in the blockchain space, including its Techstars Payments Accelerator program in partnership with Stellar.org. And the reason why I bring this up is it's very similar to, Quant, right? A lot of these tokens rely heavily on paid shilling, on paid, I mean, I even get told about it. Like, I'm like, or I get like asked a question like, hey, are you paid to talk about this project? Are you paid to talk about this? Are you paid to talk about that? First off, no. I never am paid to talk about, projects. And even if I am, I will give you my full transparency. Like, I think I only did one sponsored video, and it was through Suku or Siki with Hedera. And it was a project that I personally believed in, and I still believe in it, and they are doing very well. But that was the only sponsored video I did, and ever since then, I really have not done any of them, just because, again, I only do talk about projects that I, want to talk about. Even that sponsored video, I talked about Suku beforehand. So when we really kind of look at this, right, like there's a lot of paid shilling, there's a lot of paid advertisements going on in crypto, so you don't really specifically know what is good, what is not. But with, Stellar, and even with like a few other tokens like Ripple, Quant, etc., like you have these major names like MoneyGram, doing the advertising for them. These are like the real marketers, and MoneyGram is no joke. Like they almost have 300,000 followers on Twitter. They're a very substantial name in the financial sector. And this really kind of just proves to you where some of these names are, positioned at in this market. And I do think that Stellar holds quite a bit of a substantial role within this market. I think going forward, like I said, this is going to, surprise a lot of people, catch a lot of people off guard. And I really do think that once we do see this entire SEC lawsuit behind us in regards to like XRP, XLM is also going to have a very incredible run because, again, remember, it follows XRP very closely. So that is what we are waiting for. That is what we are watching for as well. Even if XLM did at some point in time disconnect from XRP, that would also be very welcome. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As it is up to you all, have a beautiful day, beautiful night. If you guys are in this beautiful world, it's been Nick. Peace out, guys.